Here is a pair of the National Zoo's Scimitar Horned Oryx. The Scimitar Horned Oryx were once common in the Sahel region of Africa.
The Sahel is an arid grassland semi-desert immediately south of the Sahara. Scimitar Horned Oryx used to do very well there. They conserve water quite well. They use the cooler parts of the morning to forage for vegetation, and then they seek shelter underneath small trees and bushes during the hotter parts of the day. They used to roam through the Sahel in herds of thousands, but no more.
One of the most distinctive features of the Scimitar Horned Oryx are its pair of long, curved horns. This made them very popular with trophy hunters. Unfortunately, the Sahel is a very marginal environment prone to drought, and the Scimitar Horned Oryx had to contend with habitat loss.
When you threw trophy hunting on top of that, especially in the unregulated nature that it was, it drove populations of Scimitar Horned Oryx lower and lower, and they never quite recovered. It's thought that sometime in the 1980s, the last of the wild Scimitar Horned Oryx went extinct, and the International Union for the Conservation of Nature declared them extinct in the wild in 2000.
Thankfully, extinction was narrowly avoided because several specimens survived in captivity.
Extinct in the wild means that all of the natural populations that live out in wild ecosystems have died out, but a few still exist in zoos and private collections. So the sum total of all the Scimitar Horned Oryx living in captivity came to be known as the world herd. The world herd is concentrated mostly in the United States, Europe, and the United Arab Emirates. Now, scientists and conservation biologists were not satisfied with Scimitar Horned Oryx existing only in captivity. Somewhere these animals should be roaming free with the desert sand beneath their roofs. So the Smithsonian Conservation Biology Institute partnered with the Environment Agency Abu Dhabi, the government of Chad, the Zoological Society of London, and the Sahara Conservation Fund to set a goal of releasing 500 Scimitar Horned Oryx back into the wild in the next 5 years, with the hope of establishing a permanent population that is reproducing and bringing up young of its own.
Scientists are well on their way toward achieving that goal. Dozens of Scimitar Horned Oryx have already been released into the Wadi Rimeh Wadi Akim Game Reserve in Chad.
This is one of the largest protected game reserves in the world, and is part of their native habitat. Now, upon release, some of the Scimitar Horned Oryx are affixed with GPS collars. This enables Smithsonian scientists to collect data on their behavior, their use of the landscape, and their survivability. This data will be useful to the Smithsonian as they refine their release efforts toward their goal of establishing a permanent population. And so far it seems to be working.
A few calves have been reported in Chad. These are the first Scimitar Horned Oryx to be born in the wild in decades.
So now there's hope that Scimitar Horned Oryx will roam freely through the Sahel as they once did.